Reiner Braun. What a roller coaster ride this character has been. From being the big brother of the group to the most hated, Reiner's character development has been nothing short of astounding. No wonder he is Isayama's favorite character. Now that we're in the final season of Attack on Titan, I decided to revisit some of the themes his character developed throughout the series. His tragic past and upbringing, along with his guilt, bring an added layer of complexity to his character and make for a fascinating case to analyze. A quick note before we start, everything discussed in this video will include scenes up to part 1 of the final season, so if you're up to date with the anime, you don't need to worry about spoilers. Now that we got this out of the way, let's begin. What we know now is that Reiner's guilt grew heavier and heavier from all the people who died because of him. This would then lead him to creating an alter ego and deceiving himself into believing that he was a true soldier from Paradise Island rather than a warrior from Marley. And this brings me to our first theme, the theme of deceit. One of the reasons why truth is so valuable is because of how dangerous deceit can be, especially deceit to oneself. Lying is bad and telling the truth is good, a seemingly obvious and trivial claim, but is it? We are taught very early on in our life to not lie, and this teaching is replicated universally, not just in some countries or some cultures, but in every single one of them. It means that we all agree collectively on the ethical proposition that truth equals good. Children's books and movies all around the world have reiterated this lesson through all kinds of means in history. But what if the opposite happened? What if we taught our children to always lie because we told them that no one can be trusted and that everyone else is corrupted, so you should be too? If that were the case, our society would literally collapse. Hell, I don't even think we would have survived as a species if we couldn't trust one another. That is how important truth is, but more so, how dangerous deception can be. Our world would literally fall apart and turn to hell. We witnessed Reiner Braun go through this hell when he chooses to sacrifice the truth repeatedly. Reiner deceives his peers during his training corps days. He pretends to be a soldier alongside Annie and Berthold in hopes of retaking the power of the founding Titan back to Marley. Everything seems to be going well as he gradually gains the trust of his comrades, but all hell breaks loose when he slowly realizes the truth, that these so-called devils from Paradise Island are not how they were portrayed to be, that the aliens are no different than Marlians, and that these devils have been treating him better than he's ever been treated in his entire life. At last, Reiner was finally able to know what it feels like to be trusted, appreciated, and admired even, feelings he could only dream of experiencing in Marley. His father rejected him. His mother's affection was conditional on his success as a warrior, and his peers looked down on him. If Reiner's self-esteem wasn't already completely destroyed from being dead last in the group, Marcel made sure to bring it back up and to crush it once again when he admitted that he endorsed Reiner as a warrior only to protect his brother and not because of his skills. The kid just couldn't catch a break, really. On the other hand, Reiner the soldier was the role model, the big brother of the group, strong, reliable, friendly, a respected leader among his peers, including the most hard-headed ones, Eren and John. And Reiner truly appreciated his friendship and camaraderie with the group. He was attached to this group of devils and did not want to betray them. That was the truth that he did not want to admit, to the point of projecting his insecurity towards Annie during Marco's death scene.
Why'd you put yourself in danger for him? Seems to me you're becoming sympathetic towards the enemy. If you and he are any different than the filth within these walls, then prove it here and now! The
self-deception was finally too much to handle. At that moment, he snapped. After all those years of deceiving others and deceiving himself, this was the first occurrence of Reiner's dissociative personality disorder. He didn't have enough psychological strength to admit the truth and to deal with the oppressive emotion of guilt. So oppressive that it would stay with Reiner for the rest of his life. And as a coping mechanism, Reiner created himself a new identity, an alter ego.
You and we're warriors.
At first, Reiner the warrior and Reiner the soldier were complete opposites in terms of personality. As a young warrior, Reiner was meek and weak, both mentally and physically. His only redeeming quality was his loyalty to Marley, so he was ranked last in everything else: stamina, martial arts, marksmanship, or even intellect. But as a soldier, his skills were on point. He was able to bridge the gap between who he was and who he wanted to be by building an alter ego. The day that Marcel pushed Reiner out of the way of the Titan and saved his life was the day his alter ego was born.
Reiner is dead. If we need Marcel, then he's who I'll be.
On that day, Reiner began incorporating elements of Marcel's personality into his own. Marcel was a leader, friendly, assertive, selfless, and reliable. Sounds familiar, right? Because that's exactly how Eren and the group would have described Reiner Braun in Season 1. While it is obviously not healthy to have an alter ego born out of oppressive feelings of guilt, there is still a lot of merit into understanding the benefits of an alter ego. First, building an alter ego is about breaking self-imposed limitations. Reiner used Marcel as a role model to create his alter ego, and while it is easier to emulate a pre-existing person because the blueprint is already there, we don't have to limit ourselves to that. It is less about acting like someone else and more about incorporating new traits that you find admirable until they become a part of you. Fake it until you make it, they say. Reiner decided to emulate Marcel because he admired his leadership and assertiveness. An alter ego should guide you towards the attributes that you want to embody. This strategy is one that many athletes have used to become the person they want to be. For example, Kobe Bryant created the Black Mamba, inspired by the film Kill Bill, in which the Mamba snake was code for a deadly assassin. Kobe admired those primal traits: the killing instinct, the agility, and the aggressivity, attributes that would improve his performance as a basketball player. A well-thought-out alter ego can help you bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Another benefit of alter egos is that it allows a person to step away from the labels they identify with and to build a new version of themselves, but with purpose. For example, Reiner used to identify as a meek person or as someone that isn't a leader, but an alter ego leaves all those labels behind and recreates new ones from scratch. He was able to step out of the box that he created for himself and to do something that would be considered out of character. Now, some say that it would be fake or unauthentic to do so, that you should be the real you. But what does it even mean to be the real you? You are who you are now, but also the you that was yesterday and the you that will be tomorrow. Are you not you because you are not the same as you were 10 years ago? Of course not, because the idea of a fixed you does not exist. While there is a component of nature in personality traits, we are not born with a fixed personality. The creation of an alter ego can help nurture in you the qualities you admire and to break through the limitations that a fixed mindset creates. All in all, building an alter ego allows you to break your barriers, both upwards and downwards, and to freely grow in whatever direction you deem worthy. But as we know now, Reiner ended up developing psychological trauma and dissociative identity disorder. This condition, associated with PTSD, led him to depression and suicidal thoughts. Once again, he had failed to escape the oppressive feelings of guilt. Guilt is the moral emotion that occurs when a person realizes that they have compromised their own standards of conduct and bears significant responsibility for that violation. Guilt was the emotion Reiner was trying to run away from, to the point of wanting to take his own life. That is how overwhelming the emotion of guilt can be, worse than death. Guilt was the reason for his self-deception and the reason for his alter ego. With the theme of guilt and moral standards comes the theme of good and evil. Is Reiner Braun a good person or a bad person? A seemingly basic question that can make or break one's self-worth has become an impossible question for Reiner to answer. As his time on Paradise Island grew longer and longer, the realization that he was capable of evil broke him and triggered his PTSD. This realization is especially cruel when we learn of his dream as a child.
I'll save everyone from the island devils and become a hero to the world.
His dream was to be a hero. To be a hero is to be the personification of good, but what he ended up accomplishing was potentially the opposite of that. So, if his actions represent the complete opposite of good, it must mean that he is a bad person, right? Well, not exactly. He was merely a naive child when he was convinced by his mother and by Marley's propaganda to become a warrior. His goal was to simply reunite with his father and to earn his mother's approval. Can we really condemn a child for intending to do just that? As a society, we've agreed collectively that intentions matter in condemning evil, or at least that is what our criminal law implies. Concluding on whether Reiner is good or evil is far from a simple yes or no answer. His upbringing, his intentions, and his actions all contribute to Reiner's guilt, and the complexity behind the topic is a strong reminder to all of us that the line between good and evil runs through every human heart. We walk precisely on that line every single day when we navigate through our thoughts and actions. Every step we take requires a conscious and careful decision to avoid falling completely on one side or the other, because we are all capable of evil as much as we are capable of good. Arrogance makes us think that we know which side is which, but the reality is that we don't. There is a gray area between good and evil, so the best thing we can do is to continually balance ourselves and to carefully walk on that line without stopping, to keep moving forward. I was actually planning on analyzing another character for the month of July, but the themes behind Reiner Braun's character were so gripping that it took over my plans and I ended up pushing the other one for later. The dangers of deceit, the value of truth, the power of alter egos, the emotion of guilt, and the gray area between good and evil are what make Reiner Braun's character so complex and so compelling to watch. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You may have noticed that I got a new logo design for the channel, which I'm pretty stoked about, so let me know what you think in the comments section below. I also plan on doing more Attack on Titan videos for the last quarter of the year, so feel free to share more themes and characters that you'd like to see me analyze. In the meantime, remember that you can learn from anyone and everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.